Tiger Woods under arrest for DUI following a crash near his home in Florida. Police responding to the scene, Tiger Woods rolling his SUV onto its side. Tonight, Woods is now behind bars, accused of speeding and driving under the influence.
I'm sorry. 2 words. And at 50 years old, after everything Tiger Woods has survived, those 2 words hit differently. Because on March 27th, 2026, the greatest golfer who ever lived flipped his Land Rover on a quiet Florida road, crawled out through the passenger window, and found himself in handcuffs before the sun went down. This is not just a crash story. This is the story of a body that has been broken more times than most people can count, a brand that somehow keeps growing, and a man who refuses to let any of it be the end. Tiger was supposed to be celebrating. He had just turned 50 on December 30th, 2025. He was fresh off a TGL Finals appearance. The senior tour was waiting for him, golf carts and all. Everything felt like a new chapter starting. The world was watching, and for once, the story felt good. Fans were excited. Analysts were writing about what a senior tour Tiger could actually look like. Sponsors were steady. The brand was growing. His kids were watching their dad compete again. There was genuine momentum, the kind that felt earned after everything he had already survived. And then, on a quiet 2-lane road on a Friday afternoon, all of that momentum hit a trailer and a double yellow line. And then, Jupiter Island happened. Before we go any further, if this story is hitting you the way it is hitting us, go ahead and give this video some hype right now. Tap that hype feature and show some love. It helps us keep bringing you stories like this one. And we will keep going, right now. So here is what actually happened on that Friday afternoon. Tiger left his residence on Jupiter Island at around 1:45 in the afternoon. He was driving a 2026 Land Rover, heading north on Beach Road. That road is a 2-lane stretch with a 30-mile-per-hour speed limit. It is a quiet, residential area. Clean pavement, clear weather, dry conditions. Everything was normal. At 1:56 in the afternoon, his Land Rover approached the 280 block of South Beach Road. Right there, in his path, was a white Ford F-150 pickup truck, driven by a man named Jeremy Bullard. That truck was towing a pressure cleaning trailer, and Bullard had started to slow down because he was turning into a driveway. According to witness accounts and police documents, Tiger's vehicle was moving at what officers described as a high rate of speed. He made a decision to pass the slowing truck. He crossed the double yellow line into the oncoming lane. But the front right side of his Land Rover clipped the rear of that trailer. That one clip was enough. The SUV lost stability immediately. The physics took over. The vehicle tipped onto its driver's side and slid along the asphalt until it stopped. The driver's side door was pinned flat against the road. Tiger could not get out that way. So he crawled through the front passenger window and got himself out of that wrecked SUV on his own. The trailer took around $5,000 in property damage. Neither Tiger nor Jeremy Bullard reported serious injuries right there at the scene. And that alone, given how that rollover looked, says something. Police and fire rescue were dispatched by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. By 2:10, officers observed Tiger walking at the scene. By 2:25, a deputy named Tatiana Levinar had started field sobriety exercises with him. That part is where the story gets complicated. Because here is the question that everyone had the moment this news broke. If his breath test came back at 0, as in 0 alcohol in his system at all, then how does a rollover crash on a quiet road turn into a DUI arrest? That is the question, and the answer did not come until 4 days later, when the probable cause affidavit was officially released on March 31st, 2026. That document is where Tiger broke his silence. For the first time since his 2021 crash in Los Angeles, Tiger gave investigators a direct explanation for what caused the accident. According to the records, he told them that he was looking down at his cell phone and changing the radio station at the moment the truck in front of him slowed down. That is it. A glance down, a radio adjustment, a split second of distraction, and a Land Rover ends up on its side. That admission is sobering in the most human way possible. It was not a high-speed chase. It was not recklessness for the sake of it. It was the same kind of distraction that millions of people commit every single day behind the wheel. The difference is that when Tiger Woods does it, the whole world finds out. But the investigation did not stop at distracted driving. What officers observed after the crash painted a more complicated picture. Deputy Levinar documented that Tiger was sweating heavily. And this was noted as significant because at the time of the interview, the air conditioning in the patrol vehicle was working just fine. His movements were described as lethargic and slow. His eyes were bloodshot and glassy. His pupils were described as extremely dilated. During the field sobriety exercises, Tiger reportedly had trouble following a moving pen with his eyes. Officers noted that he kept moving his head instead of just his eyes, even after being told repeatedly to keep his head still. Then came the search. Following his arrest at 3:12 in the afternoon, officers found 2 white pills in his left pants pocket. Those pills were identified by the imprint on them as hydrocodone, which is a prescription opioid used to treat chronic and severe pain. Tiger acknowledged to investigators that he had not had any alcohol. The breathalyzer confirmed this, coming back at 0.00. But he did admit to taking prescription medications earlier that day, including Vicodin, along with medications for blood pressure and cholesterol. When officers then asked him to submit to a urine test, he refused. That refusal meant one thing legally. Without a urine sample, investigators could not establish exactly what was in his system at the time of the crash. And that refusal became its own separate charge. So by 3:12, he was under arrest. By 4:15, he had arrived at Martin County Jail for processing. By 4:45, the refusal to submit to a lawful test was formalized as an additional misdemeanor charge. He was released on bond later that night at 11 o'clock. The documents from that day tell a precise, uncomfortable story. Now here is what makes all of this different from a simple impaired driving case. You cannot look at what happened on Beach Road without understanding what has been done to that body over the last 30 years. At 50 years old, Tiger Woods has had 7 back surgeries. He has had more than 20 operations on his legs. That is not a typo. More than 20. The 2021 crash in Los Angeles left him with comminuted open fractures of the tibia and fibula in his right leg. Those are the kinds of breaks where the bone does not just crack, it shatters. Doctors at the time said amputation was a serious consideration. He kept the leg. But the leg that he kept is not the same leg he was born with. One of the things Tiger has mentioned repeatedly when talking about his physical condition is something he calls the ankle seize. His right ankle, which was heavily rebuilt after the 2021 crash, can become immobile or unresponsive during physical exertion. On the day of the Jupiter Island incident, officers noted he was wearing a compression sock over his right knee. They also observed him limping and stumbling to the right as he moved. And this is the gray area that matters. What a law enforcement officer sees and what a doctor sees can be 2 very different things. Sluggish movement, lack of balance, difficulty with coordinated physical tasks. To an officer at a roadside stop, those things can look like impairment. To a surgeon who has read Tiger's medical charts, those things can look like the documented aftermath of catastrophic orthopedic trauma. Both readings can be accurate at the same time. Tiger himself told deputies that the reason he struggled with the physical sobriety exercises was his extensive surgical history. He was not making excuses, he was stating his medical reality. This is also not the first time that prescription medications have been part of Tiger's story without alcohol being involved at all. In 2017, he was found asleep behind the wheel of a car. No alcohol was in his system then either. A mix of painkillers and sleep aids had left him unconscious. He has spoken openly about the fact that his body no longer recovers the way it did when he was in his mid-20s. Managing pain at the level he deals with it means managing medications. And managing medications at that level carries real risk, especially when the body is already under stress. None of this erases what happened. None of it undoes the crash, the arrest, the charges. But it does place all of it inside a story that is much larger than one afternoon on a Florida road. Because here is what was supposed to be happening in March of 2026. Tiger had just turned 50. That milestone meant he was now eligible for the PGA Tour Champions, the senior circuit where golf carts are allowed during regular events. For a man whose right ankle seizes up and who has had more surgeries than most people have had birthdays, the ability to ride instead of walk 72 holes was genuinely significant. It was a realistic path back to competition. Just days before the crash, Tiger had played in the TGL Finals for Jupiter Lynx GC. His team included Max Homa and Tom Kim. He was a competitor and an unofficial spark of energy for that group. But the performance itself showed signs of what time and surgery have taken from him. On the 7th hole, he missed a short putt that swung the momentum toward the opposing team, Los Angeles Golf Club. They won 9-2. Tiger's own words about it were direct. He said they got their butts kicked, and that he missed a short one that gave the other team all the momentum back. He had also registered for the 2026 U.S. Senior Open and was listed as an invitee for the Masters. The Masters is its own conversation entirely. Augusta National has its own expectations that go beyond golf. After Tiger's 2009 personal scandal, the then chairman of Augusta publicly criticized him for failing to meet the standard of a role model. A DUI arrest 4 days before the tournament is not a small matter for a committee that takes image very seriously. The crash threw all of those plans into genuine uncertainty. This was supposed to be the victory lap, senior tour eligibility, kart usage, a kinder competitive schedule for a kinder body. Instead, the story shifted. And yet, even in the middle of all of it, something strange happened with the business side. Tiger left Nike after nearly 3 decades and launched his own apparel brand called Sunday Red in early 2024. When his mugshot was released on March 27, 2026, he was wearing a cosmic blue polo shirt from that line. The shirt is called the Review Polo. It sells for $125. Within hours of that mugshot spreading across the internet, every size of that shirt sold out on the official website. Fans moved fast to buy it as a piece of connected to the moment. Industry observers called it an unintentional but real example of just how powerful the Tiger Woods name still is. Even in a mugshot, the brand moves product. But Sunday Red is not without its own problems. Puma filed a legal opposition to the brand's logo, which features a leaping tiger made up of 15 stripes. Puma claims that design is confusingly similar to their own leaping cat logo, which has been in use for more than 50 years. On top of that, a company called Tiger Air has challenged the brand separately, claiming Sunday Red unlawfully took their branding. So the commercial side of Tiger's life, much like the personal side, is fighting on multiple fronts at once. And then there are the people closest to him, who are watching all of this unfold. Tiger's kids, Sam and Charlie, have grown up inside a story that keeps repeating itself. After the 2021 crash, Sam gave a speech at Tiger's Hall of Fame induction that stopped people cold. She described her father as a fighter who has defied the odds every single time. Those words came back into circulation the moment this new crash hit the news. People close to the family have said that at 50, there is a frustration that this pattern keeps happening. That the maturity expected of someone at this stage of life seems to keep running into something else. The loss of his mother, Coltita Woods, in 2025 removed someone who was a consistent source of steadiness in Tiger's life. She had been a grounding presence for decades. Her absence is real, and the people who know Tiger best feel it. So, where does all of this leave him? At 50, Tiger Woods was supposed to be stepping into something calmer. Senior Tour. Karts. A legacy tour where he could be celebrated instead of scrutinized. Instead, he is looking at legal charges, physical questions, brand battles, and a family that is watching and waiting. But here is what is also true. This is a man who rebuilt his career after a scandal that would have ended most, who came back from a fusion surgery that most experts said was career-ending, who played through pain that most people cannot imagine, and who won the 2019 Masters after years when people genuinely wondered if he would ever walk a golf course again, let alone compete at the highest level. He has done things on a golf course that should not have been physically possible given what his body has been through. He has come back before, and not just once. The path forward from Jupiter Island is not going to be easy. The legal process has to play out. The physical recovery from both the crash and the ongoing surgical history has to continue. The brand has to navigate its own challenges. And somewhere inside all of that, the human being has to decide what comes next. Tiger himself has said that disappointment is part of the game, and that how he handles it defines him as a competitor. Those words matter more now than when they were first spoken. The most important win he has left is not on any course. It is not at Augusta, and it is not on the Senior Tour. It is in how he handles what comes after this moment. Because the story of Tiger Woods has never been a straight line. It has always been a series of crashes and comebacks, falls and recoveries, public failures, and private fights. So the question we leave you with is this. Do you believe Tiger Woods has one more comeback left in him? Not on the golf course, in life, in the decisions that nobody sees being made. Leave your answer below. And if you are not subscribed yet, now is the time. Hit that button because there is a lot more story left to tell. There is something worth sitting with here. Tiger Woods did not crash on a racetrack going 150 miles per hour. He did not crash while fleeing police or doing something outrageous. He crashed on a 30-mile-per-hour road in a quiet neighborhood because he looked down at his phone for a second and changed the radio. The people around him want him to get honest with himself about his limits. The question is whether he will. Sam called him a fighter. She has been saying that since she was old enough to understand what her father was going through. She said he defies the odds every time. At 50, with all of this weight pressing down, the next chapter starts not with a birdie or a comeback win. It starts with getting this right, off the course, in the quiet moments, in the decisions nobody photographs. That is the only real recovery that truly counts.